I'd like to welcome y'all to another episode of Beyond the Fear podcast, a place where y'all come for motivation, inspiration, uplifting, and just a positive word. Today's episode, it was it was inspired by a conversation that I was having yesterday at work. And yesterday I was talking to one of my co-workers, young guy, I think he like 24. And, we were just sitting down and we were just talking about, you know, mindsets, you know what I'm saying, about how he's doing certain things right now with the 401k and with, things with, as far as like saving money and things like that. And it just really kind of got me to thinking like, man, I wish I would have had that type of mindset at 20, 21, 22, 23, things like that, that age that would have helped set me up a lot better to be a lot further than where I am right now. And as we kind of got to talking, it just kind of made me realize that there's no, there would, there, for me, there wouldn't have been a guarantee that I would be a lot further because let's just say, okay, I'm, let me not, because the way I was about to say it, it wasn't going to make sense. What I realized, because we kept talking, it was just like, man, I wish I would have had the mindset. So, right, the mindset would have helped me. I think when we started getting into conversations, when we started to get into the conversations of, I wish I would have had money or I wish I would have had this and that back then, that's where I was like, okay, that wouldn't have helped me because even if you would have given me money at that time, I wouldn't have known what to do with it. I would have done the wrong, well, I'm sorry, I wouldn't have known the right things to do with it. I would have done a lot of the wrong things with it. And by the time I would have thought about doing some of the right things, which would have been investing, things like that, it would have been too late. Most of it probably would have been gone by now. So, and that kind of goes back to something that I've said, I know I've said on this podcast before, and that's we got to make sure that we're ready for the things that we're asking for, the things that we're praying for. So, I know that when I was at that age, if I would have if I would have fallen into some money, and when I say some money, let's just say a couple 100,000, maybe a million, 2 million, $3 million. I know for a fact that I would have been doing a lot of the wrong things with that money at that time because I wouldn't have been ready for that money at that time. I wouldn't have been ready to handle that money in my possession or I have access to this money at this time. I wouldn't have been ready for that. It would have been a lot of, it just would have increased some of the bad habits that I had at that time. It would have made a lot of my bad habits worse because now I have the money to spend on these bad habits. I have money to put me in position to create even more bad habits. So when people say be careful what you wish for, I understand it now. I understand it now because again, I've been through a lot of things and I understand that we ask for things that we're not ready for. We ask for things that we think that we want, but we don't understand what comes with these things because it may be things we've never had. We may have never had um, a truly good man or a truly good woman in our lives. So when we ask for that good man, that good woman, we don't understand everything that comes with that good man and that good woman. And we got to understand that with that good man or that good woman is going to come a certain standard of way of life. You know what I'm saying? They're going to expect good communication. They're going to expect great communication. They're going to expect you to do certain things at certain levels. And it's like, you got to be ready for that. Like, this is what you're asking for when you're asking for a good man, a good woman. You're asking for someone who communicates with you when they're feeling a certain type of way. You're asking for someone who willing to nurture You have to be willing to match their energies and match what they do. So we say that we want these things, but we're not ready for them because we're not doing what we need to do. You might say money, you want money, but you might have bad spending habits. So now that you get this money, only thing that it's doing is worsening your spending habits because now you have access to money to spend more. It's not like getting all of this money is going to now make you better at managing your money. That's not what you asked for. You just asked for money. You didn't ask for better spending habits. You see what I'm saying? So it just kind of got me to thinking like, man, we ask for things that we aren't ready for. We not. And then once we get them, excuse me, once we get them, it's like, yeah, we still that same person. We're still in that same space mentally that we were in when we were acting because we weren't doing the work to prepare for it. And now we're messing up these opportunities that we're getting. We asked for this new job, but we're not prepared for that new job. We asked for the money or the partner or, this new house, this new apartment, whatever. And we're not doing what we need to do to make sure that we're ready to handle that. The new job comes with new responsibilities that you're not ready for. And so we just so when we started talking about, man, I wish I would have had this and I wish I would have had that back then, that's when I was just kind of like, yeah, it wouldn't have done me any good just being honest about myself. Having a good woman back then wouldn't have done me any good because I can honestly look back and I can say that I met a lot of good women and I let a lot of good women go because relationship just wasn't on my mind. It wasn't where settling down, a relationship, marriage, those things weren't on my mind back then at that age. So I can say, so it's easy for me to say I wish I would have met a good woman back then, but when I really stop and think about it, there were some good women that I did meet, and it just didn't go well because that's not where my mind was. So it wouldn't have mattered whether I met a good woman then or not. I could have met a great woman then. It wouldn't have mattered because that's just, my mind wasn't there. My mind wasn't on settling down. My mind wasn't on paying attention to how great of a person she was and how she was trying to uplift and upgrade certain things in my life. She was trying to get me to see the potential in myself and things like that. I can think of plenty. I can think of at least two or three women who were doing those exact things that I would love now. You know what I'm saying? Who were trying to do those things back then, but because I wasn't in that mental space, or I wasn't even trying to consider it. I wasn't trying to think about it. None of that stuff was on my radar as far as like settling down, marriage, things like that. That it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have mattered. The type of good woman, great woman, whatever, to come in my life at that time, it would not matter. It would not have mattered because that's just not where I was. It's not what I wanted. It's not where my mind was. So I wouldn't have even seen her greatness. I would have actually seen it more as nagging than, oh, she just wants me to be great, or oh, she just wants me to work harder at this, or oh, she sees something great in me, so she's trying to push it out. She's trying to pull it out of me. She's trying to pull that greatness out of me. I just would have seen it as nagging because I didn't care about those things, and she wasn't talking about what I wanted to talk about. Or she wasn't, you know, we weren't on the same page as to what we wanted, what we were into, what we were interested in. You know what I'm saying? She's interested in certain things, like she may be interested in wanting to invest and focus on the future, whereas my mindset was all about right now. Back then, that's just what my mindset was. It was about right now, what we doing right now, what we getting right now, what we trying to have right now. So I couldn't have dealt with somebody who was trying to plan for the future. And that's on me, you know what I'm saying? But I've also been on here saying I am a very stubborn and hard headed person. So certain lessons I kept failing because I wasn't getting them. I kept failing the test. And God might put somebody in my life so I can learn this lesson. I didn't learn it. Okay, get rid of that person, insert new person. And I kept going through these same trials because I wasn't learning the lesson. And so I say all of that to say, that there were some good women that got away, quote unquote, got away, but it was like I wasn't ready for them. So I'm glad that hopefully they found good people, good men, good situations, and they're happy. But yeah, there was nothing that I could do for them because that just what my mind was. So I was gonna keep bumping my head, and I did. I did keep bumping my head until I finally realized, and I didn't you know what I'm saying. And mind you, I'm just now realizing, or at least I'm just starting to figure out what I really want in a relationship and things that I don't want in a relationship and a partner. So I'm still going through it, but at least I'm in the right, at least I feel like I'm in a better mindset. Let me say not right, but in a better mindset than I was back then. So, I'm starting to identify certain things as I'm talking to people that are letting me know, okay, this ain't it. This ain't the one. Let's not waste each other's time. And to me, that's a good thing. Like when you know what you want, I feel like that's a great thing. Or when you know certain things that you want, certain characteristics, certain traits that you want, and you seeing that people aren't displaying those things, I don't feel like there's nothing wrong with just being honest with the person because you don't want to waste their time. And when I'm saying being honest, I don't mean you just got to sit there and be disrespectful about it. But there's nothing wrong with letting somebody know that, hey, I'm getting to a certain age, or even if you ain't got to bring age into it, you're just looking for what you're looking for. You want what you want. You've been through enough of what you don't want. You know what that looks like, and you just want what you want. But it takes time to get there. It takes going through things and experiencing things to get there. So, so again, just going back to that conversation when we were talking about it, everybody was just saying like, no, if I had money back then, or if I had this back then, I would X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, no, I don't think that you would, because if that was the case, even if you didn't have money, or even if you didn't have hundreds of thousands of dollars, I'm pretty sure from the age you was back then to the age you are now, you've had money come in, you've had tax returns come in, and you did the same old thing with them. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is, you got to have the mindset. The mindset has to come with the money. The mindset has to come with the good woman. The mindset has to come with, the new job. The more, you know what I'm saying? Everything that you ask for, you got to work. You got to make sure that you're working to be able to handle it, to be able to deal with it, or deal with everything that comes with it. So to just ask for the money, but you aren't doing the work to make sure you have the right mindset. You're not making sure you have what you need, so that way you can spend responsibly, or you can invest responsibly. Make sure you know how to invest, know what to look for, or make sure you got a team around you who can do that for you. You know what I'm saying? So just asking for certain things and not asking for the understanding to handle it is just a waste of that resource, in my opinion, because I can be honest with you. If you would have given me hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars at a young age, it would be gone. You know what I'm saying? It would be me spending it on stuff that I did not need, and I probably wouldn't have to this day. Probably wouldn't have it. It'd probably be gone. Me giving it to people, it would just be gone. It would be me not, because I wouldn't have the understanding needed to do the right things with it. And that comes with experience, that comes with knowledge, that comes with, time. You got to go through things to experience things, to gain lessons, to learn things, to grow. All of that stuff comes with it. So just asking for certain things at a young age when you know that you wasn't ready. If I was to say, man, I started to get more financially literate at this age, man, if you would have put money in my account at this age, then that's different because now you also have it's coming with the understanding needed to handle what you're getting. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what we were just kind of going back and forth with it because in their minds, they were saying, well, if you get the money or if you get whatever it is that you're asking for, if you get it at that young age when you wasn't ready for it, getting it will make you ready for it, or getting it like some will somehow magically make you understand how to use it, how to it'll make you understand what to do with it. And to me, that made no sense because again, I'm being realistic about myself. I know for a fact that if you would have given like 20-year-old me fresh out of high school, trying in and out of college, because it just wasn't my thing. If you was to give me hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars, I just don't see. And again, I'm not saying I wouldn't invest none of it. I'm just saying I wouldn't invest the right, in my opinion, at least now, I wouldn't have invested the right amounts. And I wouldn't have known what to invest in. I wouldn't have known who to go to invest in. I don't think that my mom would have known who to go to. So that would have been, it just would have been a struggle. And I just don't see, and again, it's just me being honest. You know what I'm saying? I'm really trying to put myself in my frame of mind back then, and honestly asking myself if I was given this stuff, how would I handle it? And I just don't see it ending well. It's definitely different, and that's okay. Mind you, it's okay. I'm not sitting here beating myself up mentally about it. I understand that where I am now is so different than where I was back then. And I understand if you was to put that money in my hands now, it would be definitely different than if you was to put it in my hands back then. But that's the point that I was trying to make. You're taking your mindset that you have now and trying to put it into your 20-year-old self and give yourself that money. It's like, okay, if that's a totally different scenario, then you taking your 20-year-old self with your 20-year-old mindset and putting money in that person's hands. You know what I'm saying? Those are two totally different scenarios. If you're telling me the mindset I have now plus that money, but in my 20-year-old self, then okay, cool. I feel way more confident in that than I do just taking my 20-year-old self and my 20-year-old mindset and putting the money in his hand because I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for that money. I can't sit here and just tell you straight up that I'm ready for it now. I can tell you that I would be more ready for it now than I was back then. For sure, I can tell you that because I've never had that much money in my hand. I've never had access to that much money in my life. So I don't know if I'm ready for it because I haven't seen it. I know that I'm more ready now than I was back then because I've done way more research on it now as far as investing, as far as putting your money into certain things. I've done way more research now. I didn't do any research back then because in my mind there was no need to do the research. Just being honest, I didn't see myself having hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars. You know, at one time I didn't see that. Did I see me having a good job? You know, because again, in my mind, I'm like going to college, gonna do the business route. So did I see myself having some money? Sure. Comfortable lifestyle, yeah. But did I see myself with all that money? No, I didn't. So for me, I didn't do any research. I didn't do any of that. I wouldn't have been ready for any of it if it would have come my way. And so all I could really have done is just pray that it went well. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Because I wouldn't have been prepared for it because I wasn't preparing for it. I wasn't thinking about it. I wasn't trying to manifest it. I wasn't doing any of that. You know what I'm saying? It was just me, just again, like I said, I was just focused on the right now. I was just trying to have fun in the moment. I was literally living in the moment. I was not thinking about the future whatsoever. I wasn't trying to plan my life out. I wasn't trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. Nothing. None of that was on my mind at that time whatsoever. So I wasn't thinking about 401ks. I wasn't thinking about insurance, life insurance. I wasn't thinking about anything. The only thing on my mind is like, man, what am I doing today? What's going on today? Or what we might have planned that particular weekend or something like that. And yeah, so I definitely wasted years of my life, you know what I'm saying? Or well, I did. Ain't no way around it. I'm not gonna try to justify it, but it's what I needed to go through. You know what I'm saying? I was a very stubborn person, still am. Just trying not to be as stubborn. At least I'm noticing that I'm stubborn and I'm trying not to be. But very stubborn person, very hard to move off of I was very hard to motivate, and you couldn't change my mind, if I had my mind set on something, you know what I'm saying? And again, so stubborn that I was one of those people who was willing to sink with the ship, you know what I'm saying? Even though, especially if I knew it was wrong, but if I made a big ordeal about it and I blew up at people about it, and this is my deal and this is the way I want to do it, when it blew up in my face, I just had to own it. You know what I'm saying? But I stayed on that ship. And once that ship sank and I had to swim back to shore and I had to do my apologizing and saying I was wrong, I did it. I didn't like it. I wasn't happy about it, but I did it. And, but it didn't change nothing. I would still be back on another ship sinking. I ain't looking for no lifelines. I was right. And then again, same old thing. So I was very stubborn. So I had to go through the same trials and tribulations a lot because I was not learning my lessons. You know what I'm saying? So I put myself through a lot of unnecessary struggles because I wasn't willing to think outside of my box. I wasn't willing to allow people to teach me things. For whatever reason, I felt like I knew everything, or at the very least, I just felt like for whatever reason, I wasn't going to listen to you. You know what I'm saying? Even though you knew what was going on, and even though deep down there may have been a part of me who knew I should listen to this person. Listening to this person may save me a lot of stress, a lot of grief, a lot of anger, a lot of frustration. It might save me a lot of time if I just take the time and listen to this person and do what they're asking me to do, because clearly they know what they're talking about with this subject, with that subject. And even though I knew that, I still wasn't listening and things like that. So I had a very stubborn spirit, a very hard head. And yeah, I had to bump my head a bunch of times. Just thinking about it, man, I don't think I can do it just smile and laugh, because it's ridiculous how stubborn I was about some of the dumbest things, just sitting back really thinking. But I'm okay with it because I'm growing, I'm learning, I survived it, and I'm in the position that I'm in now, which is a good position. I'm realizing my worth. I'm realizing that yes, I did waste a lot of years, but God willing, I have a lot more years left. So I can start now. I can start growing now. I can start tapping into my potential now. And so I'm not focusing on the wasted years. I'm focusing on the years that I have left. I'm focusing on the things that I can do going forward, the plateaus and the mountains that I can reach going forward. That's where my focus is. I'm not trying to stay in that place of despair because of the time lost. I'm just trying to stay more focused and encouraged and hopeful about the fact that now I can see the potential in myself. I can see the things that people saw in me. I remember when I want to say it was eighth grade, ninth grade. I don't know what, eighth grade, seventh, had him eighth grade. My math, no, yeah, it was eighth grade. My eighth grade math teacher, Mr. BB. I remember him telling me I should study political science. And he was, and me being me, I'm not understanding what you're talking about. I don't know what political science is. I don't like, in my mind, I'm like, I don't even like science. I don't even like regular science. So I'm for sure not going to try to even do no political science. But he was like, because you're a leader, people gravitate towards you. People, your words are heavy. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't understand what he meant. And he was like, you carry yourself. You are a natural born leader. You have it in you. And me doubting myself, I didn't believe him. I didn't see it. I just thought, oh, you just trying to get me to pay attention more in your class or to get better grades. You just trying to butter me up. And it was just like, I doubted myself so much that even when he said that, I didn't believe him. Did not believe him. And it took a long time to see that, nah, he was right. People do gravitate towards me and people do hang on my every word. And you know what I'm saying? But I didn't see it in myself. So it didn't matter. Like his words didn't matter to me because I didn't see it in myself. And it just kind of, and again, it definitely sucks. But like I said, I'm not going to stay in that place of, woe is me and oh, I wish I would have. It's like, yeah, I would do wish I would have, but I believe in myself now. I'm focusing on the now. I'm focusing on trying to move forward now because I see that in me. I see the potential in me. I know that it's there and I know that I have what it takes to pull it out of me and to get it out of me. And I know that it's going to take time. It won't just happen overnight, but I'm okay with that. I'm willing to put the time in. I'm willing to invest the time and energy and the effort and the money into myself so that way I can get to where I want to be and doing what I want to do because I know that it's in me. I know that I have it in me. There's not a doubt in my head. There's not a doubt in my body that I can do what I need to do. It just took me a long time to get here. You know what I'm saying? And that's the tough part about it because so many people around me saw it, but because I didn't see it in myself, I didn't pay any attention to them. I didn't believe them. I didn't trust their words. You know what I'm saying? Because I doubted myself. You know what I'm saying? I doubted everything about me. I doubted whether I could motivate myself, whether I could motivate others, even doing this, you know what I'm saying? My whole thing was who would listen to me, who would even care what I have to say. So, so there was doubts, you know what I'm saying? So I definitely doubted myself. I definitely didn't believe in myself. I definitely discounted myself and I held myself back. I did myself a disservice by holding myself back as long as I did because I didn't trust in myself. I didn't trust in my skills. I didn't trust in my talents. But I'm here saying that those times are over with. I do trust myself. I do trust my talents. I do trust that I'm here with this mindset right now for a reason. I made it through those tough times and that stubbornness that could have gotten me into some tough and worse situations than it did. It could have gotten me into some bad situations where I'm not here today. You know what I'm saying? But I am here and I believe that I'm here for a reason. I believe that I'm doing these podcasts and doing these videos for a reason. I don't know what those reasons are, but I know it's something good. I know it's something positive. I know that it's going to be something big someday. And I'm okay with doing what I got to do until I find out. You know what I'm saying? I'm ready to find out. I'm ready to see what the future has for me, what it has in store for me. And I'm meeting it head first. I'm not running away. I'm not backing away. I'm not ducking. I'm going head high, face forward, you know what I'm saying, into my future and into my destiny and into whatever's meant for me. I'm going straight into it and I want it. But it took me time to get to this point. It took me time to get to this mental state. And, you know, just going back into that conversation real quick. I don't, I'm at a point now where I don't regret any of the things that I did in my past because it needed to happen. I needed to go through those failed relationships. I needed to go through those tough times at work. I needed to go through, you know, the back and forths with my mom and things like that. I needed all of those things because all of those things made me the person that I am today. And I'm proud of the person that I am today. I'm not the finished product. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm still proud of who I am. I'm proud of where I am. I'm proud of where I'm going. And I'm proud that I made it through what I've made it through. So I say all of that to say you may not be where you want to be, but it's okay to be proud that you're not where you used to be. And it's okay to focus on the lessons of the past, your past failures, but don't stay stuck in them. You know what I'm saying? You aren't your failures. You know what I'm saying? Just, you got to learn those lessons, whatever it is from your past that you need to learn, from your failures, you need to learn them. It doesn't mean that you forget about your failures. It doesn't mean that you are a failure. It just means that whatever you tried the first or the second or the third or the fourth time just didn't work. Keep trying until you get it, until you've tweaked your equation to the point to where it works. You know what I'm saying? You just got to keep tweaking, keep fixing, keep growing, and keep improving. You just got to keep moving forward. That's just what life is. Life is just about moving forward, continuing to improve, continuing to get better. You know, life doesn't just stop just because it didn't work. You know, life is going to keep growing. There's always a lesson somewhere to be found in everything that you're doing, whether it's a success or it's a failure. There's a lesson in everything, even if it's not your failure or it's not your success. Other people, watch what they doing, watch what they got going on. There's always lessons to be learned from everything and everybody. You know, everybody's in your life for a reason. Lean on those people because they might have some things that you need and you just didn't know you needed it because you're not trying to tap in with them. You're not trying to reach out to them. You know, use your resources, use your circle, use your support system, everything that you have in your power, use it to get to where you need to be. And I don't mean stepping on people and stepping on the people who are there for you and using them in a negative way, but I'm just saying if they're there to support you and they're lending a hand, take that hand and allow them to help you up. Allow them to help pull you up if they're already in a position where you want to be. Use that. Don't have that mentality of, oh, I got to do it by myself, or oh, it's just me versus the world and all of that stuff. Because those type of mentalities won't get you anywhere. You can't do everything by yourself. There's certain things you're gonna have to do by yourself, and then there's other things you gotta lean on people to help you do. And I'm saying that, and that's like one of the hardest things for me is asking people for help. But even I'm starting to understand the importance of it because there may be something that's very hard for me, that's very simple for someone else who's around me. And all I have to do is be willing to ask them for help. You know what I'm saying? And you can't be scared to ask your people for help. These are your people. This is your source. These are your resources. You got to be willing to go to them for help. And if you feel scared to talk to your circle about help or asking for help, then you might need to get you a better circle or a different circle because you shouldn't be afraid to ask your friends, your family for help. And I don't mean just monetary help. I mean, it can just be, you know, hey, how do you do this? Or, hey, I noticed you pretty well at this computer stuff. How can you, whatever, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to just be financial stuff. It can be stuff that you just aren't good with. You might not be good with computers. You might not be good with numbers, whatever the case may be. Lean on your people for support. But that's it. That's all I have for today's episode. I want to thank everybody watching. I want to thank everybody for listening on whatever platforms you're listening on. And I want to thank everybody who's watching on YouTube. Y'all already know, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And y'all have a blessed day.